It's Charlie Fink and Ted Chilowitz with This Week in XR live at AWE 2022. I'm here with a good friend and a fantastic entrepreneur, Alan Smithson. Welcome and thank you for making time for us.
Thank you so much, guys. It's truly an honor to be part of this. I listen to your podcast all the time, so I get my industry news from directly from the source.
Wow, that is flattering. Yeah, you could come back.
Well, we're a big fan of your work and all the different approaches that you've taken to innovation and looking and crafting new things in new ways. And you've got something pretty exciting that you're on the cusp of right now.
Oh my goodness, guys. It's been a long, long time. We spent 7 years building a technology platform. And 2 years ago at this show, we launched 1.0 of that software, MetaVrse engine. And it was wildly successful from our standpoint. I mean, we're not Unity and we're not Unreal, but we were wildly successful from our own standpoint. And we realized also that in the success that we're having getting all these enterprise brands on, we're like, oh crap, 1.0 is just not, we're going to be saddled with technical debt forever if we don't start over. So we actually started over. So 2.0 is launching on Friday this week, and it is a complete rebuild of the engine.
Wow.
So it was a 2-year undertaking to kind of fix it.
In that time period, you have a lot of heat on the concept of the metaverse and huge players investing huge, exponentially huge dollars against
insane.
This idea of the evolution of what we used to call cyberspace, right? And you're firmly in it and have been in it for some time. So it's an interesting evolution that you've fallen into something early that has now captured the eye and the imagination.
I could have never imagined that the name of our company would become the term that people would refer to as the future of the internet. I mean, it's kind of like calling your company Kleenex. I mean, you don't say pass me a towelette or a facial tissue.
There is new demand for my book, MetaVrse, even though the metaverse in that book is a metaphor.
It is true. I'm actually mentioning that. I wrote an article in your book, right? Is it that one or the second one?
You wrote an article in the second book.
Second book.
Convergence.
Right. Yes.
Painting the world with data.
I think I'm in that one too.
Yes, you were in that. Ted is in that book also. I think I got everybody. It's the old theater strategy, right? You do a theater production in a high school with 100 people in the cast. They all bring 2 or 3 people, and you've got a full house.
Amazing. I love it.
So, Alan, I mean, one of the things I so admire about you as an entrepreneur is you and your wife, Julie, your partner.
She's over there.
We're doing all sorts of things in XR for a number of years, and then this kind of developed into the focus of your business.
The plan was, so I developed a business plan 7 years ago. Before we called it MetaVrse, actually, we renamed the company a year after we started. But the idea was to be an agency or a studio or whatever you want to call it, and do as many projects as possible, and then figure out what to build. Instead of because I didn't know anything about this world. I tried VR, I was blown away. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I left the DJ world. We were creating software for interfaces for musicians and artists. But I came into the VR world. I didn't know anything. So my view of VR was 360 video. And then we did a bunch of 360 video. And then I bought the Samsung camera. And for $500, and it was as good as an Ozo, and we're like, oh, okay, this is a race to zero. So then, and then you realize, like, how do you make these things? And we would build stuff on Unity, we'd build stuff on Unreal, and it was just really hard. It was hard to find people, talent. It was hard to create the 3D objects. Everything was bloody difficult. And so we wanted to build something that was easy for everyone. And so our metaverse, our mission at MetaVrse is metaverse creation for everyone. And so the idea is that it needs to be drag and drop. It needs to be low code as much as possible. And you need to be able to create value quickly and get it out there. And we wanted to make sure that it was on the web, because if the metaverse is the future of the internet, it has to be on the web. It can't be behind an app payment wall system. So we bypassed the app stores by being on the web. So,
Well, you're essentially going after Unity and Unreal with a web-based product. What is the business model?
So I don't see it as going after either, to be honest. They, you have Unreal Engine as AAA games. Now they have a GLTF exporter. In fact, we won an Epic Mega Grant to create the GLTF converter for the ingester for ours. So now we can take GLTF models. Let's say you build a car commercial, super high-end car commercial. You can export the things and now have a web-based version as well on the MetaVrse engine. So we see it as a cooperative thing, but also we're opening a completely new paradigm. Because if you're a web developer, if you're a JavaScript developer, or you're an HTML developer, you were locked out of this whole process. So the 13 million JavaScript developers around the world now have access to a game engine, and that opens up the market that much bigger. So I don't see it as competitive; it's just growing the whole industry.
So Alan, where do you? I mean, you've been doing this for long enough, and you're building a business that kind of is predicated on an emerging future. So we consider you a fellow futurist.
I'm an amateur futurist.
You're an amateur futurist, aren't we all, right? What was the famous Mark Twain quote? Of course I care about the future. That's where I'm going to spend the rest of my life.
I love that.
So where do you think we're going to be 5 years from now at AWE, the 18th edition of AWE?
Okay, 5 years hence, say 2027. Okay, so Snapchat will be a leading platform by far. Their glasses, from what I've seen and what I've tried, their glasses are far superior to everybody else's in what they've got, and they have a massive content pipeline. They have a million creators. It's insane. They've done over 1 trillion snaps. So Snapchat will be a leader in the space. Apple will have released their glasses, so they'll probably be in version 2 of their glasses. Content creation will have tools like Anything World, where you can literally talk and say, I want to create a room with 4 walls, 3 windows, and I want to have a palm tree on one side. I want a gray carpet and some furniture, and it'll populate it and build you the world.
Facebook is working on. Meta is working on.
A lot of people are working on these AI algorithms, so I think you're going to have creation tools that allow you to just dictate what you want. It'll build it. I think we're going to have. There's a company called In-World AI we just partnered with, and I guess we're announcing that now. But anyway, we partnered with this company called In-World AI, and they're going to drive the avatars in our system, so you can have conversational, like full-on conversations with AI, and it feels real. It's wild. You can ask the meaning of life, and it gets deep. And I went down the rabbit hole of asking this AI, and not only that, but the AI learns about the individual, so it actually can remember the conversations it had with you. And so it's next level stuff. So anyway, things like this will really have matured by then. And you'll be able to go in a virtual world, whether it's in glasses or on your phone or whatever. Phones are not going away. And you'll be able to have meetings with your friends, conversations with random AIs and avatars. It'll be photorealistic, whether it's streamed in from AAA game engines like Unreal or on device with something like MetaVrse. But it'll be really beautiful, and the technology. But it's also going to be driven by 3 technologies, in my opinion. You've got AI driving natural language processing, deep learning, machine learning, and also computer vision, knowing where you are in the world. And then you've got XR, 3D virtual augmented mixed reality, and then you've got the blockchain layer of crypto, DeFi, DAOs, and NFTs. So you've got all of these technologies kind of coming together. So I think by 2027, all of these will be mature, and all of them will be creating hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in value, each of these categories.
And your software layer is going to touch all of these in a unique way. Maybe now lead it back toward what you're going to be doing in 5 years as you develop.
So we're building a game engine that's drag and drop that's on the web. Okay, but what can you build on that? We were building all sorts of projects. We were focused on 3 verticals internally because we have a studio and we only have the bandwidth to do so much. We focused on marketing, training, and retail. And so those 3 verticals are huge in themselves. But what we wanted to do is build a few key points, and then the world can build whatever they want. So we've done some medical device training for a large medical device company. The case study for that will be coming out in July, and we're saving them tens of millions in their training. It's crazy. That actually funds us, that whole thing. Then we work with Samsung on their training as well. We work with Pearson Education. We work with all these big brands. But the point I want to make here is that the engine can be used for anything. It really can. And so one of the products we've been wanting to build, we built a bunch of virtual showrooms for brands. They're like, what if we built our own mall? So we are building a mall, and the mall, we called it The Mall because it's going to be the only mall in the world left that's virtual. And so we've got this virtual mall. It's 100 floors tall, and each floor is 1 million square feet. So it's not massive. To put it into perspective, the Mall of Dubai is 12 million square feet, so it's 8 times larger than the world's largest physical mall. And so it can be vast, and we see it as like not something where you go and just buy things, but you can experience brands in new ways, right? You can go into the Lego store and all the things, you click a box, comes to life. You go in Nike and you can go running on a track. Think about the crazy things you can do with a game engine that's specifically meant around retail and entertainment. So that's what we're building. We're using that as our sandbox to push the absolute limits of this tech.
That is a great description of your business and your ambition. Alan, I admire you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks for making time for us.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
We are here with Pearly Chen. She is Vice President of Business Development for HTC, one of the leading VR companies in the world. Pearly, thank you for making time for us this morning.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Tez. Nice to be with you both today.
Yes, it's great to be back in the real. HTC doesn't have a booth.
Right. This has been a very interesting few years for us. We've been busy introducing new products, really fine-tuning what this new vision for the future is, and building an open, secure metaverse that benefits every member of society. We'll be shipping new products at the Vive Focus 3 last year as well. And this AWE event for us traditionally hasn't been the main place to make major product announcement, but really a place for us to reconnect with partners, friends, new ecosystem partners. So this is why we're here in this event as well, to reinforce these relationships, make new ones, and make sure that we continue to play our part in advancing this ecosystem.
As I recall, HTC's thing always was CES.
That's right, and Mobile World Congress. That's our traditional stages for product launches.
So a little less than a year ago, you introduced a new headset.
Yes.
Called the Flow.
Yes,
it has
Flow.
pancake lenses, so it looks
compact.
Not exactly like glasses, but sort of like a shrunk down headset.
More like goggles.
Yeah, more like goggles, yeah.
Immersive glasses, right.
And is that a winner? Are people snapping those up?
We're happy to see the progress and the reception and all the feedback that we're getting for Vive Flow.
And Vive Flow, it's like Amazon and the HTC website, is that where people are buying it?
Or on Vive.com.
Or on Vive.com.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So Vive Flow is very important, I think, step for us in really positioning a product, not just as a technology product for productivity, for entertainment, but also for mental well-being, for improving how we feel as technology users. And I think this is going to be increasingly important as we go towards inventing this future. It's not just about how much more information and connectivity we can be, but how we connect with ourselves as well. That's really deeply important to me. And here we also was part of Nanea's announcement in TRIP's recent financing round. We came in as an investor in TRIP, and I think that just really further talks about how we care about how this technology has a profound impact on people's everyday life and how they connect with themselves.
HTC has an investment group, right, called ViveX that invests in the ecosystem. Yes. So was the investment part of ViveX?
So ViveX we started in 2016. It was a $100 million commitment, balance sheet investing. We have since then invested in more than 100 companies globally, very broadly. That has been the primarily more earlier stage, smaller check size type of investment. But now, of course, as the ecosystem develop, a lot of companies and founders and product market fit business models have started to mature. We started to write bigger investments, later stage type of investments. So that as well as XR Health, our recent other investment, are part of that initiative in investing in more mature companies with larger investment sizes.
So you're seeing with the Flow a real focus on kind of health, wellness,
yes.
exercise, those kinds of things, as opposed to kind of the hardcore gaming market.
That's right.
That's kind of where the target. And then you're cultivating
some me time, right? Some productivity time, some mindful time, as well as some brain training. It's a more lightweight style of get in and out. Easy for us to go into a collaboration setting as well, like in the Vive Sync VR meeting. And so yeah, it's a different form factor.
With a headset that's light,
yes.
that light, it must make fitness applications a little easier than wearing a bulky tethered headset.
It's much more comfortable.
And the bulk of people are attaching it to a smartphone. Right?
That's right. Yes.
So
wirelessly connected to smartphone as a control. Yeah.
Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about HTC's enterprise business.
Sure.
You've made a big push over the past couple of years to build up that team. How is that going, and how does it really work?
How does that really? We work with enterprise customers. We develop use cases together. We work on various pain points of the development to make sure that we can ensure partners good use case for achieving their business goals. And of course, that's the headset side of business. So the enterprise business is really important to us, clearly, and that continues to be a really important platform for us to engage with customers.
And with those enterprise customers, are you seeing them still sticking with the tethered Vive Pro, or are they all moving to things like the Focus and the Flow?
There is a big shift into standalone adoption, and Vive Focus 3 can really, it's a power horse. It really serves a lot of the purpose. And with XR cloud streaming these days, you can stream PC content to a wireless headset like Vive Focus 3. So that's definitely been a very important and popular transition for customers in the enterprise space as well.
So in the enterprise space, would you say that the killer app of the enterprise space is training?
It is training, it's visualization, it's a lot healthcare space as well. There's still very many different applications that are being developed, and we work with partners in bringing those to open our mind and what XR can still do and add to our productivity life in addition to our everyday life.
With the Focus product, are you starting to see kind of a resurgence in the location-based entertainment use cases? Because I know that's some of the stuff that.
Well, we tried HoloRide, and
You
HoloRide was using
yes, that's right. In South by Southwest recently, I joined them there as well. Yeah, that's a really great example of how a lightweight device can become versatile in enabling new XR experiences on the go, or in location-based entertainment like Zero Latency recently announced that they're shifting to Vive Focus 3 with streaming and large scale and multiple user type of setup. And of course in the healthcare therapeutic space as well, standalone lightweight devices are becoming more important.
So the idea of getting rid of the backpack system,
yes,
like wearing the PC
Zero Latency is a location-based entertainment product for those of you who don't know it and are listening. And they built simulation centers where people played competitive and cooperative games, military simulations, and so forth. And in fact, they are a military supplier in Australia, where they started.
Right.
I think they have about 50 locations at this
growing
point,
well.
but they have it's very bulky technology. It's very hard to maintain backpack PCs.
That's right.
So by going to the Flow and cloud streaming, I think they're going to be able to grow much faster at a much lower cost.
Right. Have you went to Notre Dame VR, for example, Immersive, this Paris-based company, which is also a portfolio company of ours, that develops this format of immersive expedition, large scale, 50 people free roam at the same time into the Notre Dame 45-minute type of experience. And that used to be highly tethered because high fidelity, complex experience. And now with the Vive Flow, it can become much easier for really all use cases for people to enjoy.
Do you think cloud streaming is going to be the future of games? Of XR games, I should say.
Absolutely. I think especially before we have widespread 5G, edge computing, cloud computing, for us to be able to really remove all of the device-based processing to the edge, to the cloud. In this on
keep the
device,
headsets light.
Absolutely, and that's how we can get closer and closer to your pair of glasses type of form factor from the goggle that you just described. They're getting lighter and lighter as we can offload more of these.
I wasn't saying that as a negative thing.
I understand.
I think the Flow is a very attractive headset versus what we're used to.
That's right.
And certainly represents an iteration toward the kind of wearable that we're talking about. Do you think the headsets are going to become hybridized so that you would be doing going back and forth between AR and VR?
Absolutely. It's all what we, since day one, call the virtuality continuum, right? There's no real need to ultimately delineate between VR and AR. It's the same continuum. From VR, we've of course started to do a lot of video pass-through that will get higher and higher quality, and as we have seen Magic Leap going the other way, right? Doing universal dimming. So ultimately, that will be one device. I think the industry, the thought leaders of the industry have a very high level of consensus on that. But that's maybe a little ways out as both directions are fast developing and iterating. Ultimately, the dream is that anybody can access via a pair of glasses.
So when we're back here next year, as we always are, when we are allowed to go out, what's on the roadmap for HTC?
Oh,
Can you talk about that?
We can't talk about future roadmap. We can't comment on speculation, but count on HTC to continue pushing the boundary of innovation and bring delightful devices, experiences, content, platform services to the world.
Pearly, thank you so much for coming on the show and making a little time for us here at AWE. It is great to see you, and we will have you back on the show to talk about HTC more.
Great to see you. Thank you both.
And we're here with Devon Copley. He is the co-founder and CEO of Avatour. Great to see you, Devon.
It's good to see you too, Charlie.
We're thrilled to talk. We were just catching up before about your pandemic ride
Yes.
and how the company you built tends to thrive during the pandemic. So.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's been the challenges we were talking about with any startup is always timing, right? You can see the future, but you don't know exactly when the future is going to arrive. And you know, for us, having a vision around remote collaboration using immersive technologies, without the pandemic, it was a big ask. We were getting interest from the innovation people, but we couldn't get it on the shop floor, right? And COVID helped us, you know, cross that chasm, as it were.
Let's back up a little bit.
Yeah,
so
sure.
That
What do we
people
do?
understand
Right.
what you do.
Right.
My next question.
So Avatour is the remote collaboration platform for site meetings, and we're using real-time 360 capture to, you know, enable communication with the context of a real-world space. You know, it's sort of the simplest way to describe what we do is a mashup between Google Street View and Zoom. So it's a real-time Google Street View with multiple remote users who can share a real-world location with the people there. And we're primarily using it for enterprise and business applications, inspections, tours, training, any place where the location is the point of the meeting. That's something that a standard video conference does really badly. You know, somebody's waving a phone around trying to capture a space, and if you got 10 people on the other side, they all want to look at different things.
So talk about the technology you use to do this that would
Sure.
be different than just opening up a couple laptops or phones. Obviously, you're doing something much more sophisticated to give that sense of presence, right?
Well, there's a lot going on under the waterline to make it work.
Yep.
But from the user's perspective, we try to make it as simple as possible. There's an off-the-shelf 360 camera. We don't make the hardware. These things you can go down to Best Buy and buy. Connects to your phone, and then you can invite folks to a video conference. And one of the key aspects of our success has been we don't require a headset on the other side. You can join with a browser. And this was something that, I mean, I'm a VR OG, right? We go way back. I'm a big believer in the potential of true VR, true AR, all the things that this show is about here. But a lot of people aren't there yet. Headsets are a big, you know, hurdle. And one of our goals in delivering the product was making sure we can deliver value to everybody, whether or not they're in headset. And I think that's a theme. You see a lot of the most successful, you know, VR from VR chat and on down, applications are ones that are very inclusive of people who aren't in headsets and enable that social interaction. And that was one of our ideas from the start.
I think one of the things about having that mixed interaction is that people who are on the PC and have limited agency see what people in headsets can do.
Yeah.
And they say, next time we do this, I want to be one of those people.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I also think, if you don't mind, I want to describe your business in another way.
Please do.
Because you create this 360 environment, but then people occupy the environment, either as avatars or through a PC as kind of an observer. But the people who are inside the 360, as you said, are free to move around. They can look at different things, and they can also instruct the operator on location.
Right.
So, for example, let's say you were manufacturing something in another continent.
Right.
Instead of having the whole design team fly over and walk through the factory, they can literally virtually walk through the factory and have a spatial experience, as you said, not a limited field of view, not a experience looking at it on somebody's smartphone,
right,
but really being in the place.
Yeah. And you know, fundamentally, it's a bit of a hack, right? I mean, like, it's a 3DOF experience, 360, but it's 6DOF because you're with somebody on the other side who is your, you know, avatar moving through space in a way, right? And this was, you know, it was a function of the realization that a big part of the business value is the meeting, the site meeting. It's not about a scan. There's other companies that do great spatial scanning, reality capture, you know, that's great. We enable the meeting, and the thing about a site meeting is there's somebody at the site. You always go to meet the site manager or the project manager or whatever.
The idea is you would have somebody that the people on remote, they could say, could you walk over to that?
Exactly.
place?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Because we don't see what you're talking. Oh, go to the side. Oh, that red thing is the problem. I
Right.
got it.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, we could mount it on a Boston Robotics dog and have that be, but there's already a dude there, right?
Yeah, right.
You know,
Exactly.
use him.
With the camera.
Exactly. Some low tech things are better.
Yes, yes.
Good. You have a great history in VR, as you mentioned. You were on the original Nokia Ozu team.
Yeah.
With that giant, heavy, super high definition
Yep.
camera that they schlepped to the top of Mount Everest.
Yeah, I'm very, very proud of the work that team did. Proud to be associated with it. It was groundbreaking. You know, there's still things that hardware and software did that nothing has matched yet. The fact that it had fanless design with simultaneous 360 audio and video capture, that device still doesn't exist. You know, you still have to patch through these different workflows for audio and video. So, yeah, it was great fun, but the business case didn't really pencil out for the $60,000.
The reason I bring it up is
Yeah.
there's a straight line from the work you did there to Avatour.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what it came down to was, you know, the bet with Ozo was on entertainment and on mass media in that, you know, and the fact is you can't have mass media without a mass audience. And we're still not there with VR AR. We're still not there. And we won't be for a while yet.
Right.
But person-to-person communication is a different story. And especially high-value communication situations like a plant tour or whatever, they'll pay whatever to make that better, easier, faster, quicker, safer, etc.
Need and that need needs to be filled.
And the business value is enormous,
And,
right?
and also the costs of doing it the other way are
Very high. Yep.
And not just financially, but also people are out of the office, they're less productive, they're not home at night.
Well, and over the last couple of years, there was no way for many
Right.
companies to do this on site.
I mean, in the beginning of
this
COVID,
became a need, like it's a complete need situation.
even you couldn't even cross state lines. Do you remember the beginning of COVID?
Yeah.
And we had people who had to ship product. So again, that sort of urgent need allowed us to leap over a lot of the what would have been a lot more skepticism, a lot more time to get into some of our huge customers, Colgate, Palmolive, Thermo Fisher, people like that, where it would have been years before we got onto the shop floor with some of them. But the need was so great. We had the opportunity to get there, show the value, and then be able to reference that within the org and to other orgs. And that was what COVID gave us. It gave us the opportunity to prove the tech and show that it's ready.
So how big are you now? What's the size of the company?
We're about 25 people, just short of 20 full-time, and then a number of contractors.
And are you still bootstrapping, or did you get investors?
We raised a seed round almost exactly a year ago, led by Ulu Ventures here, who are terrific. They've got like 10 unicorns in their portfolio. Docomo Ventures in Japan also joined the round, and they've been a great partner for us because connectivity is key to our success. And being able to work with a partner who helps with the connectivity challenge has been really, really helpful for us.
You know what I've noticed, Charlie, over the interviews that we've done, about 10 or 12 of these at AWE? Have you noticed anything I've noticed? But when you ask people about how many employees they have in their company, I've seen this sweet spot of around 20 to 25 people. Most people say that the companies that they've started that have been successful have now found their way to, like, let's call it 11 to 12 on the low end, 25 to 30 on the high end, right around 20 people. It's a very interesting sort of.
What Devon needs, if I might, is a huge sales staff. Because this is such an obvious, good application of the technology. It seems to me if you just got in the door and described it and people got it, it would be a total no-brainer.
I'm very glad to hear you say that. We might put that in big bold letters on our website. But I agree. I mean, I think what's great about Avatour is it's a very clear, it's a simple use case. It really is. It's we are to a site meeting what Zoom is to a conference room meeting. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And when you explain it that way, people get it, and they get that there's value to be offered here. Yeah, it's.
Just from personal curiosity, is there a certain 360 camera that you've kind of unified on or recommend people get because it's low cost and just works well? Have you found the one that? I mean, there's a bunch of them.
There are a bunch of them. The specifics of that get into really the weeds, right? The details.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, our application is not one that's being taken into consideration by the manufacturers of 360 cameras. Very few people are doing any sort of live streaming. And the ones that do support live streaming often do it at a lower resolution, or they only do RTMP. They don't expose the raw textures to an app. We need those raw textures because we do our own encode, we do our own pipeline. So a few companies do expose that. But even, I mean, I love the Theta cameras, but the new Theta, you can see on the specs, it'll run for 7 minutes before it overheats in live streaming. It's useless. It's useless. And so what do we use? We use the Insta360s, the action camera level, and we use, that's sort of our entry-level device, and then we use the Labpano Pilot 1 EE, which is a terrific camera. I love that camera. They've continued to make it more and more reliable, and it runs an Android system. So it's the ease of use is off the charts. It runs our app. You power it up, our app starts, and you just push 2 buttons and you're live.
I had been writing about Avatour since the beginning.
Yes, you were the first.
And
thank you.
And I'm still equally excited about your company. So I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
I will continue to follow this story. We'll have you back on the show as you continue to grow.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, Ted.